Have you ever looked at someone in a position of power and thought, how on earth did they get there? Have you ever watched someone stumble through decisions, fumble through leadership, and yet somehow climb higher and higher while the truly talented remain invisible? There is a silent mechanism at work, one that operates in the shadows of every organization, every government, every institution you have ever known. And today, we are going to expose it. Let me tell you something that will be uncomfortable to hear. The world was never designed to reward competence. That is the lie we were told as children. Study hard, work harder, become excellent at what you do, and the doors will open. But look around you. Look at the people sitting in the chairs of power. Look at the ones making the decisions that shape your life. How many of them are truly the best at what they do? How many of them earned their place through sheer brilliance? And how many of them simply understood a game that you were never taught to play? In 1969, a Canadian psychologist named Lawrence J. Peter published a book that quietly shook the foundations of organizational theory. He called it the Peter Principle, and the idea was devastatingly simple. In any hierarchy, people tend to rise to their level of incompetence. Think about that for a moment. A brilliant engineer gets promoted to manager, not because she's a great manager, but because she was a great engineer. A talented teacher becomes a principal, not because he understands administration, but because he was excellent in the classroom. The very act of rewarding competence pushes people into roles where they are no longer competent. And once they reach that level, they stop rising. They stay. They occupy the seat. And the system fossilizes around them. But Peter only scratched the surface. The mechanism runs deeper than a simple promotion paradox. There is something almost biological about it, something woven into the fabric of human social behavior. You see, competence is threatening. True competence, the kind that sees clearly, that speaks precisely, that solves problems others cannot even name. That kind of competence makes people uncomfortable. It disrupts, it challenges, it holds up a mirror to everyone around it and says, you could be doing better. And most people do not want to see that reflection. So what happens? The system develops antibodies. It pushes the competent to the margins and elevates the agreeable, the political, the ones who know how to smile without threatening, who know how to nod without questioning, who know how to occupy space without filling it with anything meaningful. This is not conspiracy. This is sociology. This is the quiet daily machinery of human insecurity expressing itself through organizational structure. The ancient Greeks had a word for it. They called it mediocratia, though they never imagined it would become the operating system of the modern world. Aristotle warned that democracies could decay into systems where the loudest, not the wisest, would lead. Plato dreamed of philosopher kings, rulers who were chosen not for their ambition but for their reluctance to rule because they understood the weight of the task. But we did not build Plato's republic. We built something else entirely. We built a world where the desire for power is often the very thing that disqualifies someone from wielding it well, and yet it is exactly that desire that the system rewards. Now, here is where it gets personal. Think about your own life. Think about the moments you were overlooked. Think about the times you delivered extraordinary work only to watch someone else take the credit. Think about the promotions that went to the person who played golf with the boss rather than the person who stayed late solving the problem. You are not imagining it. You are not being paranoid. You are witnessing the mechanism at work. And the most painful part is not that it happens. The most painful part is that we are trained to blame ourselves. We internalize the failure. We think, maybe I am not good enough, maybe I need to do more. But the truth is far more unsettling. You were not rejected because you lacked skill. You were rejected because your skill made others feel inadequate. There is a psychological concept known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it is one of the most important ideas you will ever encounter. It describes a cognitive bias in which people with low ability at a task overestimate their competence, while people with high ability tend to underestimate theirs. Read that again. The incompetent think they are brilliant. The brilliant think they are average. Now place that dynamic inside any competitive environment, any workplace, any political arena, and watch what happens. The confident but incapable person walks into the room radiating certainty. They speak first. They speak loudly. They volunteer for leadership. They project an image of control. And the truly capable person, they hesitate. They qualify their statements. They see the complexity of the problem and refuse to oversimplify it. And in the eyes of a system that rewards confidence over accuracy, who do you think wins? But ask yourself this. If the mechanism is so powerful, if it has been operating for centuries, why do so few people talk about it? The answer is that the mechanism protects itself, and it does so through one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, normalization. When incompetence sits at the top long enough, it stops looking like incompetence. It starts looking like leadership. We adjust our expectations. We lower the bar so gradually that we forget where it once stood. We begin to define success not by outcomes, but by tenure. Not by impact, but by title. We look at someone who has been in charge for 10 years and assume they must be doing something right, when in reality they may have simply been doing nothing wrong enough to get removed. Survival becomes indistinguishable from excellence. And that is the most dangerous illusion of all. Think about the companies you have worked for. Think about the managers who held meetings that could have been emails, who created processes that solved no problems, who used jargon to disguise the fact that they had nothing meaningful to say. Think about how everyone in the room knew. Everyone could feel it, but no one said a word. Why? Because the system punishes dissent more than it punishes incompetence. You can be mediocre for decades and survive. But challenge the wrong person once, speak the uncomfortable truth once, and you become a threat, not to the organization, to the ego of the person above you. And in most hierarchies, ego is the true currency of power. If this idea has already resonated with you, imagine what comes next. Subscribe so you do not miss this journey, because what we are about to explore will change how you see everything. Now, let me offer you something different. Let me show you the way out. Because understanding the mechanism is only the first step. The real transformation begins when you decide what to do with that understanding. The first shift is philosophical. You must stop measuring your worth by the system's metrics. Titles, promotions, corner offices, these are the system's rewards, and they are distributed by the system's logic, which, as we have established, is deeply flawed. Your competence is not validated by recognition. Your value is not determined by a performance review written by someone who may not even understand what you do. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it plainly. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The moment you stop seeking approval from a broken system is the moment you reclaim your power. The second shift is strategic. You must learn the language of the system without becoming a prisoner of it. This is the hard part, and it is where most competent people fail. They believe that doing great work should be enough. It should be, but it is not. You must also learn to communicate your value in terms the system understands. This does not mean becoming political. It means becoming visible. It means learning to frame your contributions in ways that connect to what decision-makers care about. It means understanding that perception, as unfair as it sounds, is part of the game. Not the whole game, but a part you cannot afford to ignore. The third shift is personal. You must build outside the system. The most powerful position is not at the top of someone else's hierarchy. It is at the center of your own. Every great thinker, every true innovator, every person who changed the world, they did not wait for permission. They built their own platforms, their own communities, their own standards. You do not have to overthrow the system. You have to outgrow it. Create value that exists independently of any single institution. Develop skills that no title can give you and no restructuring can take away. Become so undeniably good at what you do that the system either adapts to you or becomes irrelevant in your life. The fourth shift is emotional, and this may be the most important one of all. You must release the bitterness. I know that is hard. I know it feels unjust, and it is unjust. But carrying resentment toward the system is like drinking poison and waiting for the institution to get sick. The energy you spend being angry at incompetent leaders is energy you are not spending on building something extraordinary. Forgiveness here is not about them. It is about freeing yourself from the weight of a fight that was never fair to begin with. The best revenge, if you want to call it that, is becoming living proof that the system was wrong about you. But there is a secret still deeper that few ever discover, and this is where everything connects. The silent mechanism does not just operate in boardrooms and governments, it operates inside you. Every time you silence your own voice because you think you are not ready, the mechanism wins. Every time you defer to someone louder instead of someone wiser, the mechanism wins. Every time you choose comfort over truth, safety over growth, approval over authenticity, you become an agent of the very system you despise. The incompetent do not stay on top only because of their own maneuvering. They stay on top because the competent let them. Because we have been conditioned to doubt ourselves, to wait our turn, to believe that humility means invisibility. Here is the revelation. Humility is not smallness. True humility is the quiet confidence of someone who knows what they are capable of and does not need the world to confirm it. The greatest leaders in history were not the ones who craved the throne. They were the ones who were dragged to it by necessity, by calling, by the sheer gravity of their competence. Marcus Aurelius did not want to be emperor. He wanted to be a philosopher. But he became perhaps the greatest ruler Rome ever knew, precisely because he never desired the power for its own sake. The people who should lead are often the last to volunteer, and the system exploits that reluctance. So the mechanism is not just out there. It is in here, in the stories we tell ourselves about what we deserve, about what is possible, about who we are allowed to become. And breaking it requires not just intellectual understanding, but existential courage. The courage to stand up when the room is sitting down, the courage to speak clearly when everyone else is speaking carefully, the courage to believe in your own vision even when no one else can see it yet. Let me leave you with this. The world does not lack talented people. It lacks talented people who refuse to be invisible. The mechanism survives on your silence, on your patience, on your belief that if you just work a little harder, someone will finally notice. But the truth is that no one is coming to rescue you from obscurity. No system is going to suddenly become fair. The only force powerful enough to break the mechanism is you, fully awake, fully aware, and fully unwilling to play small any longer. You were not built for the margins. You were not designed to watch from the sidelines while less capable people shape the world you live in. The mechanism is silent, yes, but so is the fire that burns before it becomes an inferno. And right now that fire is burning inside you. I know it is, because you would not still be listening if it were not. So here is what I ask of you. Do not just watch this video and move on. Let it change something. Let it rearrange something in the way you see yourself and the world around you. If this message spoke to you, leave a comment. Tell me what part hit the hardest. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, someone who has been doubting themselves, someone who has been playing small, someone who does not yet realize that the system was never a measure of their worth. Like this video, so it reaches more people who are ready to wake up. And subscribe to this channel, because this conversation is far from over. We are just getting started. The mechanism is silent, but we no longer have to be.